Jumba Yanda Baran Zobe Sanje Rikpada Shabsu Shibwan Jidin Gembe Gibun Due Kalo Jumba Sanje Jumden Jumba Yanda Baran Zobe Sanje Rikpada Shabsu Demba Devara Shibwa Jidin Gembe Kalon Yuwa Lana Meba Lada Minama Getumba Sanje Jumden Dembe Yewa Shagya Tuba La Shasa Shiwo Tishe Sheba Ra Jumba Yanda Baran Zobe Sanje Rikpada Shabsu Jigden Gembe Gibun Due Kalon Gyurwa Lana Meba Lada Minama Getumba Sanje Jumden Debe Yewa Shagya Tuba Shudo Gyabzun Shimu Kyudamanze Sajen De La Gomban Dumbone Ngane Jigden Dina Choje Sun Teze Keba Kyola Namda Kunga Chodo Susanwa Iji Yazo Zilye Lumbonda Taba Jigden Sumna Lame Gombo Junye Gyula Cha Zalo Tenjo Demba Drimen Daweje Sedon Rawa Kela Cha Zalo Dude Kera Seba Suma Yame Kenjin Kela Cha Zalo Gombo Duje Chedemba Tamje Kembe Demba Sunama Yende Gyazu Shin Tishin Shela Cha Tabe Dejan Tewan Gyurun Gewe Ngenlon Le Drushin Jigdo Tendamon Sho Gyurun Shigyu Shela Cha Zalon Tune Drewe Lamyang Dun Laba Tala Rabdu Shingi Tamba Yunden Den Gindun Hayang Cha Zalo Cha Zalo Gyube Shela Cha Bindun De La Cha Zalo Sumla Tadun Kuja Ce Chanjara Heba Tamje Shingdu Gungi Changye Ge Ludu Baye Namgun Do Chodo Tebe Cha Zalo Meja Shin Gewa Buzumo Tsobara Je Rangi Semne Yongsun Du Dine Sangye Temba Karma Rabre Mame Dan Gyuma Seva Chubo Dan Melama Lodan Ten Dabo Tedra Chana Tedra Sunama Diye Tamche Sikba Ye Goban Tomne Kyunge Tadu Kada Nadan Chive Labdrube Zibe Solen Joan Chewara Shu
Next page, the first command.
Ye Goban Tomne Kyunge Tadu Kada Ange lo de demye denda nida namda rapse Chinye tungwe jishin sijire nige tukara lebama Kanda sibe tsura mare metumo dungwe kise Chozo kun la puchi tarze yela chuju yangden sun Chedro nyamo nilon lege chadro zhunze jin Mare meze dungye nyugo jinye junze rade Tene tajin saju tarze yende lunzo yi Chudra chudan chuni gende lalu mense jambe yang lan Kyuji kera vesrenki talu timo membarabsan Kada tenju shunglo doba ye lodre bobe nawa zedu so Medo Drama Rirawa Linji Nyende Nyempandi Sanje Shindu Migde Drepung Namda Shingla Chebara Sho Reyadaya Me.
Next page, the heart of the perfection of wisdom sutra.
Paba Gunju Sumla Cha Salon Dige Dage Teba Dujina Jumden De Gabu Kawa Chagu Pongde Rila Gelong Ge Gendu Chenbo Chanju Zembe Gendu Chenbo Dan Damju Do Shu De Te Te Jumden De Samu Nang Che Chawe Chu Ge Nam Rang Ge Dingen Zela Nyombra Shu Zo Yang Te Te Chanju Semba Semba Pagwa Jere Ze Wangju Sherab Ye Paru Do Chimba Samu Jeba Nila Namba Pungbo Ngabo Deda Laya Rangjin Ge Dongbara Namba Dao Zene Sanje Ge Tu Zedan Denba Sharimbu Chanju Semba Semba Pagwa Jere Se Wangju Landi Ge Je Meso Rigi Pu Kanla La Sherab Ye Paru Do Chim Samu Jeba Juban Deban Den Jidra Laba Cha Tege Je Meba Dan Chanju Semba Semba Pagwa Jere Se Wangju Ge Zedan Denba Shari Dade Pulan Dige Je Shari Bu Rigi Pom Rigi Pomo Kanla La Sherab Ye Paru Do Chimba Samu Jeba Juban Deba Didra Namba Dawa Chade Pongbo Ngabo Teda Laya Rangshin Ge Dongba Namba Yang Daba Jisu Su Dongba O Dongba Ni Su Su Lu Le Dongba Ni Shen Ma Ye Dongba Ni Le Jiang Su Shen Ma Ye No Ti Shin Do Sorwa Dan Du She Dan Du She Nambara Sheba Nama Dongba O Shari Bu Dedra Chu Tam Je Dongba Tini Meba Ma Yeba Ma Gagba Tima Meba Tima Dan Dewa Meba Dewa Meba Kanwa Meba O Shari Bu Deda Dongba Nila Su Me Sorwa Me Du She Me Du Je Me Nambara Sheba Me Mi Me Nawa Me Na Me Che Me Lu Me Yi Me Su Me Da Me Ti Me Ro Me Reksha Chu Me Do Mi Gi Kam Meba Ne Yi Gi Kam Yi Gi Nambara Shebe Kam Ge Pardo Yang Me Do Marik Ba Me Marik Ba Seba Meba Ne Gashi Me Gashi Sebe Pardo Yang Tijin Don Dunge Wadang Kunjung Wadang Gobadang Lame Yije Me Toba Me Mado Bayang Me Do Shari Teda Vena Janju Semba Nam Toba Me Be Shire Shira Ye Pare Do Chimba La Tenje Nede Semla Triba Tawa Me De Chinje Lo Le Shindo Dene Nyange Le Debe Tara Chindo Tusum Do Nambra Shube Sanje Tamji Shira Ye Pare Do Chimba La Dene Lana Meba Yanda Ba Zobe Chanju Do Ambran Zoba San Yeso Teda Shira Ye Pare Do Chimbe Nga Rikwa Chimbe Nga Lana Mebe Nga Minya Bada Nyambe Nga Dunge Damje Rado Shivara Chebe Mizu Bena Demba Sheba Chade Shira Ye Pare Do Chimbe Nga Meba Teya Ta Gade Gade Para Samgade Bodhi Yeso Ha Shari Bu Janju Semba Semba Shembu Tedra Shira Ye Pare Do Chimba Samola Labrach Tene Jumde De Tinge Zen Tele Shende Chanju Semba Semba Shembu Pagwa Chere Se Wanjula Lekso Shechawa Jine Lekso Rigi Po Dedi Shino Rigi Po Dedi Shende Jidra Kyuge Demba Shindo Shira Ye Pare Do Chimba Samola Chebra Tishin Sheba Namjan Jizo Yirango Jumden Dige Dige Che Ka Tsene Tsedan Demba Sharen Dade Sanju Semba Semba Jembo Pagwa Chere Se Wanju Dan Tamje Dan Dembe Koron Teda Dan Padan Midan Tamai Tizara Jiben Jigden Yiran De Jumden Dige Sumba La Ngambara De Te Ya Ta Gade Gade Para Bodhisattva Papa Gunjo Sumye Kaya Dembe Dobye Me Dembe Cho Tamje Chire Loba Gyuje Meba Gyuje Shiwa Gyuru Chi Gere Tondra Gyaju Shiwa Me Dunebe Kendan Chewa Dan Tumba Drupjen Puzum So Trashi De Jan Tengdren Dele Sho.
And the next page. Oh, sorry. Page 14. The refuge and Bodhisattvas.
Sangye Chodan Soje Chonamang La Chanchu Pardo Dane Gyapsoje Dage Choeje Gebe Sonangye Dola Penje Sangye Drupara Sho Sangye Chodan Soje Chonamang La Chanchu Pardo Dane Gyapsoje Dage Choeje Gebe Sonangye Dola Penje Sangye Drupara Sho Sangye Chodan Soje Chonam Chanju Bhado Dane Gyabzoje Dage Choeje Gebe Son Dola Penju Sangye Drupara Sho Adan Tame Mehan Dame Anji Humbo Dan Gyaje Lazo Choge Chola Chawa Cheba Nam Sangye Sumba Rabdo Shishin Dewen Gyuron Gyuba Teda Shige Tambe Chunye Chinen Dere Shishi Namo la yeke dan lu dan le jenge dribum ta dan mi yeke nam dan rowa kun ge dranam ji zemba tam je ge do da ge chö den do kangi do je nye re sun ne ta wa tam je bang be je tam be chö ne den je be ka dam te la cha che lo. Okay, so one of the great Indian Master Chandrakirti, he wrote this book called Entering the Middle Way, which is the commentary of Wisdom Sutra. And before he go into the actual text, there was a one verse that he pay homage. And usually in the ancient Indian tradition, when they write some book, they always do the prostration, bowing and paying homage to Buddha or some deity or something like that. But he was very unique. And what he did was he actually bowed and did the prostration to compassion. And when he bowed to the compassion, then the word is like Tangpo nga shen da la shen gyur shing. Da ge di shen nga la cha gyur pe. So jun shen da rawa me bayi, do la nyingji gyur gan te lan du. Means I bow to this compassion, the compassion that is concerned, genuinely concerned to free all sentient beings from suffering. And how I actually feel compassion is because all the sentient beings, how they are actually going round and round and round in samsara is because at the beginning tangbo at the beginning, nga she dala shen jushis. Like they have a very strong conception and attachment to themselves, sort of like I. There is a very strong attachment to I. And then after they have this very strong notion about their own eyes that we kind of like very strongly grasp, hold, and because of that, dagi, this means then they get attachment to this is my, like that. So first there is an I, then there is a my, and then because of this kind of strong delusion that they go round and round. He gave an example of Sujun Chen Daran, means he gave the example of like, in the ancient time when people take the water from the well. So they use one bucket, right? They use one bucket, and then that bucket is actually tied to the rope, and then there is something like some wheel that they put that rope on that, and then they throw this bucket into the well, and then they pull the water up, and then you use the water, and then again you throw it back. So there is a constantly kind of moving, right? So he's kind of like giving an example, saying that all the sentient beings who are in samsara, they are going round and round and round, and just kind of like they tangle themselves up without knowing the root cause of all this suffering is the one that is kind of like a misconception of self. So there's like we created this idea of self, and because of this self, then we have an idea of something like this is my, which is kind of like a egoistic self, and then like things that it belongs to that self is like okay, this is my thing, this is kind of like my friend, this is my enemy, this is my thing, whatever, sort of like all these things comes, and then we struggle in that. And so he said, I bow to that compassion who understand and genuinely concerned to free sentient beings from the cyclic existence. So this cyclic existence, somehow, it is kind of like in the Western word also we say, like if you want a different result, you have to do something different. If you do same thing over and over again, and then expecting different result, that's the definition of insanity, right? If you want a result to be different, you have to do something different. But if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, then expecting different result. That is what in samsara, what are we actually sort of like whether you believe in past life, next life, or whatever, even like we don't have to go into the past life. We even look at this very own life, right? This very own life, since we were kind of aware of our own sort of like what do you call a sense of self, right? Since we get this sense of self, then what happened is we pretty much do the same thing over and over again, or we just kind of like what do you call? We copy the other people, what they are doing. So we just kind of like so there is like one person going, and then we just follow that, and then we call this like, okay, we are going to get something different, but we are not getting something different. Why? Because we are doing same thing. So that is sort of like the meaning of the samsara. Like this maybe word samsara, maybe it's a very popular word, right? I see that in the, mainstream. People use this word samsara, and then also people use the word nirvana, right? It's like the two opposite sides. One is nirvana and one is samsara. And then, interestingly, one time I went into this one mall, and I was looking through, and then I just saw there was one perfume called the samsara. And they have a brand, and they branded their perfume as a samsara. And then on the other end, actually there was a perfume called nirvana too. So, and then when I saw this samsara, and then I just want to taste the smell, I just said, okay, I want to know how does the samsara smell. And amazingly smell good. So maybe that's not really the smell of samsara, or I don't know. And then somehow I was just playing, and then I bring the nirvana one, and then I also put the, sample, smell it, just kind of trying to see. And then, there were some people with me, and they said that, what do you think, Rinpoche? Which one smells better? I said, samsara smells better. So I don't know, in the reality, samsara is better or nirvana is better. And so it is kind of like the samsara, the cyclic existence, the translation of the samsara. In Tibetan, we say korwa. Korwa means cycle. So somehow, we kind of going round and round and round, and what is causing us to go round and round? And somehow, the cause is ignorant. And what is the ignorance? The ignorance is not knowing your true self. Who am I? And then we always grasp into something that is not who really we are. We always kind of identify ourselves with something, and then on our everyday, daily basis in our life, we came to actually know that it is not really me. Because sometimes, we have a very strong attachment to our physical body. So we identify ourselves, we identify other people with their physical reality. And but then on the deep level, we know that I'm not my body, right? There's something to it that I think I am more than my body, right? I have my body, but I am not my body. I'm not am I more than my body? I think without even studying in any philosophy or anything, I think we feel that, we experience that. I'm not just my body. I think there is something more. I'm more than my body. I think that we kind of get that little bit of a spark feeling. But then it is too strong. The reality of the physical reality is too strong that then we just get carried away into this identifying ourselves or recognizing ourselves as a physical, as a physical matter. So just kind of like the wisdom that we are learning here is actually saying, sort of like we have to know what am I? Who am I? So that is kind of like in this chapter, the wisdom chapter, that Master Shantideva actually kind of like he is making it more clear with the kind of discussion, sort of question and answer. In the chapter, there's like a lot of question, and then he answer. So this actually question is basically, I don't know who, nobody is really asking question. He just kind of like saying, if you have this question, then answer is this. So it is like some form of discussion within sort of like self-analyzing. And that self-analyzing is the greatest method to understand. So the wisdom means understanding, right? So this is what we use the word understanding. And to know something more in-depth, on the in-depth level, right? To know something on the in-depth level, not just on the surface. And so that is why, like yesterday we were saying that, many times when we ask this question in kind of like to ourselves, what do I know? And then on the surface, we think that we know many things, right? I know this, I know that. And then just kind of like bring one specific thing, one specific thing. Just don't go just kind of general something that you know. So if I ask you, do you know something? And then your answer will be, yes, I know many things. And then many times we go into our education things, right? Okay, I know mathematics, I know science, I know, this and that subject that we studied in the school. And but just kind of generally, if you just kind of say, what do you know? Like, for example, you're looking at this flower and look at this flower. Do you know the flower? Then I think the immediate answer is, of course. Of course I know. Then how do you know? What is it? Just kind of like, how do you know? That is one step forward to asking, how do I know this flower? And then it is because it is flower. If it is not flower, then what it is? Like, I'm not just trying to ask that this is flower or not, but I'm saying, how do you know this is flower? Right? How do you know? Then basically, kind of if we go round and round, then somebody so and so said so. Maybe it is in the book. Maybe it is majority people will accept that this is the flower. So then, it just kind of goes on, right? Or the bottom line answer is, I thought so. That's it, right? I thought so. Just because you thought it is a flower, then does that make it is a flower? So it is not even, you didn't thought that this is a flower. Maybe you just kind of thought this object that I'm looking at it is called flower. See, now that's the difference. It is a flower and it is called flower. Right? So this is called flower, but this is just a name labeled. So who labeled it? Then maybe nobody knows. If we go into the source, right? So maybe long time ago, some, human being who creates the language or words. So, okay, so this one, the initial guy who's called this a flower, said that, okay, let's call this flower. And then it just went down the history. Everybody is saying, okay, this is flower, this is flower. So without any kind of analyzing, we just kind of assume. Because it is called flower, it should be flower. So see, that is what our knowledge is. That much we know. That by knowing that it is called flower, then that means I understand the flower. I understand this specific flower, So this specific flower, how do you understand? So there is a lot of words, when we say I know, I understand, right? In Tibetan we say sheba, means sort of aware, sort of you are aware. But actually the real wisdom is the wisdom that knows or understands this flower, it can be a little different. So that is why when, from a wisdom point of view, if you know this a flower, then it is kind of like there are many different levels of understanding. There's actually one very what do you call true nature about this flower is that this flower, by its nature, it is momentarily changing, right? It's impermanence. So this is like maybe we can look at it, we don't see the change, right? And 1 minute ago, you look at the same, and after 1 minute you look at the same flower, then you will say, oh, it didn't change at all. It just, so we don't see the change, but what do you think? In reality, is it changing or no? I think there is a lot of change if you go look into the microscope, right? There, it is like somehow it is changing, it is withering, it is actually changing into something else. Impermanence nature of this flower. So to know the flower, do you think you have to know the impermanence aspect of this flower or not? If you don't know the impermanence aspect of this flower, then maybe we don't know the flower, right? So this is just one thing, one quality of this. So there are so many different qualities of this flower. So then the different aspect of this flower is like, how does this exist? Does this flower exist outside of my mind, or does this exist inside of my mind? Right? Just kind of like when you look at this flower, you see the flower. But all of us, we are looking at this same flower. Do we have a same appearance of this flower now? The answer is clear, right? We don't have a clear, same appearance. We all see it differently. So then, what do you think? There is only, one pot of flower there. There's not so many flowers. So what I see, what you see, the appearance of the flower in your eyes, do I see that? I don't see what you see. You don't see what I see. Then where is it? The things that you see, is it only in your eyes? In your vision? Right? It is only in your vision. So it is only in your vision. That's why it's like, there is like an old English saying, beauty is in the eye of beholder. That's an ancient wisdom, right? It's just kind of like something that we see, okay, this is beautiful. So what is they're saying? Beauty is in the eye of beholder. So in the eye. Very mind-only school concept, right? It is in the mind. It is in the eye. So it is in the eye of beholder, meaning it is not out there, right? It is not out there. So, and then how does it appears? For example, there are many debates about when we learn about the the wisdom, understanding the true nature of the flower. For example, when you have a appearance of this flower that you see should exist there before you see or not? Does that, the flower that you see, which is in your appearance, what do you think? That appearance of the flower exists before you have the vision, or after you have the vision, or simultaneously? Does it simultaneously appears in our eyes? So somehow it looks like first there should be some object, and then the reflection of that object goes into our eyes, and then we see, right? So that is why maybe the object should become like a cause, right? And then, once it reflects on your eyes and you see the object, And then if you're looking from a momentary point of view, right, the momentary point of view, the one that you actually see, the one that reflect, at one moment it changed. Right? At one moment it changed. And so you are, which one you are seeing actually? You are seeing the one that is there. When you actually already hear it or see it, right? Once you already see it, the one that you see is like from the momentary point of it is gone. Same thing with the sound. You can actually understand in the sound better because something big sound happen, right, far away. Like we go to see the, hanabi, fireworks, right? And you see, like you are watching the fireworks. And so there's like simultaneously we see there is a light, just kind of like there was a sound, bang. It already created there. But when that sound comes to us, their sound is already disappear. Then sound come to us, right? So it's like first appears there, and then it looks like the sound is traveling to us, or our ear sense is going there. I don't know what is that, right? So like same thing with what we see. So there's like something that we like. There are so many different aspects to be understand, even of one flower. Same thing with ourself. Our like what we call I, when we actually kind of like grasp, like okay, this is me, who I am, and then like immediately, just kind of like is that me? Is that like a one that holds, and then the idea of the self. So this is kind of, there are many different aspects of things to understand. So from a Buddhist point of view, when we say wisdom that understand the flower, is there are so many different layers of understanding. So this is kind of like there. So it is also like when like I think the truth of the flower, then you actually something that not just gathering the information. We think that the gathering information about the flower is wisdom to understand the flower, understand the world, understand the truth. But actually information is the information. With the information, we will not actually become so definite about it, right? So that is why the word that we use in the wisdom is like a more sort of like a nyeba, nyeba, nyeba. That is the Tibetan word. Nyeba, nyeba means definite. So nyeba means finding some definite, confident, sort of like if you are totally confident about what you know, then you know. If you are not confident or you're not definite, sort of like first you just say, okay, I know this flower, and then like when I start asking this question, how do you know, and all these things, then you are not so sure, right? It's like, I think, maybe like, so first you are coming with this kind of definite, right? Definite, you are definite, like, of course. Do you know this flower? Your answer is like, of course I know. But then if I analyze it more, then you are not so sure about it, right? Okay. Now I kind of not so sure. So you're not definite about it. So if you're not so definite about it, something that you know, with the analyzing, that means you don't know. That means you don't have the wisdom. So when you have the wisdom of the true wisdom, then you are so definite. You come to this kind of like a definite kind of feeling. So you find that like a definite kind of like a, what do you call? Definite feeling. Like so it is like when you actually kind of definite, like when you feel that, okay, definitely this is, like you're 100% sure. That's what it is. Definite means 100% sure. When you reach to that level of you are 100% sure, because we don't lie to ourselves. We can lie to other people, but inside your your confidence level, your definite level comes to the 100% level, then what it is called knowing, the wisdom. So wisdom is sort of like if we actually understand the meaning of the wisdom from that kind of like 100% sure, then we can understand a little bit better. So there are like the question that I say earlier, like what is the thing that you actually know that is 100% you are sure? 100%. Like for example, we say, do you know yourself? And then I think first answer will be yes, I know myself. If I don't know, then who knows me, right? Right? And in the real sense, it is true, right? It looks like everybody knows who they are, right? We all know who we are, don't we? If you don't know who you are, then who knows you? That's the question, actually. Very interesting question. Who knows? Who knows you? Right? In the whole universe. So that's actually a sad thing. Right? It's just like, so nobody knows me now. And then if nobody knows me, then I am like what? Like, because we are always trying to get attention from people. Like, like, okay, why you are not paying attention to me? Because then, maybe it's a clear answer. I don't know you, right? I don't know. Because, there's like appearance, yes, it seems like I know, but I'm not 100% sure. Even the person who is closest to yourself, like say your life partner, even like your beloved son or daughter, like who is something that you actually, I give a birth to that child, and now, of course I know this. We think, but really we don't know. We don't know. So that is why, like, the wisdom is actually coming to this 100% definite sure of kind of reaching ourselves to the level of I know who I am. But like, many times then we kind of like, when we are asking this question, who am I? Then we always try to go back into some kind of like a past life thing, right? then it's just kind of going into like a past life regression kind of like, and this kind of therapy is very popular. People always think, you know what? I think I know myself because in past life I'm so and so, I'm so and so. And but does that make you understand who you are, even if you know what you are in your past life? We don't have to go far. Like like if we are in the middle age, like go back. We go back to when we were 10 years old, and we know that we came from that. That doesn't actually help you to understand who you are. Then so knowing who you are, and that also knowing to the level. The level should be 100% definitely sure. Like definitely, I'm definitely 100% sure that level is possible. Is it possible? Then good news is yes, possible. Right? Because we have an ability to know exactly who we are without kind of like carried away by this idea of who am I. So like the wisdom is understanding or bringing ourselves to that level. And somehow isn't that the most important thing? I think it is the most important thing to definitely to know who am I, because everything that we do is we are doing for this, right? And sometimes I like that, when I go to Japan, go to this shrine, and then Japan in the shrine on their shrine there is a mirror, right in the middle of the shrine, it's like there on the altar, the main kind of altar thing. They put a one round mirror there, and one time I was going to that shrine, one shrine, not not all shrine you can see the reflection, but one shrine was so interesting. I went. I forgot the name of that shrine, but when I went there, the mirror was this way. So I stand there and I'm looking to the mirror and I see my own reflection. And then I bow, right? So there's a kind of specific way to sort of they do the clap and then bow, and then clap, sort of like traditional sort of bowing ceremony that you do. And then I was so kind of mesmerized with this, okay, I see myself there and I'm bowing to myself. Right? It's a mirror. And then when I do bow, it is really I'm bowing to myself, right? So when I bow, the reflection of my also bow to me. And then when I put my hands, of course, my reflection is, so then that moment I thought, wow, this is a very powerful message. Because, and I even told the people around me, I said, looking at this one, this is a very strong message, I said. The person responsible for your own happiness is that person. You're looking at the person who is responsible for your happiness, the reflection, right? So it's kind of I think there's a spiritual message there. It's just kind of even, in Indian, ancient tradition, they say namaste, right? In the anytime yoga, namaste. So it is nama means bowing, right? Sort of you bow, and stay is kind of I bow to your ultimate nature, or what the God nature, or something sort of so you have a God nature, I have a God nature. We are all made from the God's nature. So it is I'm bowing to. So it is kind of self sort of there is a lot of hidden meaning that even on the mundane level, just for the greeting and just doing the worshipping, and that just kind of things like that. So anyway, knowing oneself, when we reach that level of confidence, the 100% definitely sure level of knowing who you are, and I actually can call that the state of enlightenment. So it is when you reach the level of enlightenment, you exactly know who you are. And that is our purpose. That is what our goal. And that is what we are all trying. No matter what. No matter you are religious, non-religious, atheist, or following some religion, I think the deep desire is always there to know, who am I? Right? Who am I really? What am I doing here? And that is the next question we always ask. What I'm doing here? What is the purpose of my life? What I'm trying to achieve here? But to be able to know first what I'm trying to achieve, first we have to know what I am, right? This I am. And this, really, if you take ourselves to that level of wisdom of knowing who I am, then it will open an interesting perception of everything. Because it is just kind of sometime when we don't have that wisdom, then we casually use so many things with the word I am, right? Because most of the time like we are not happy with who I am, sort of who I am, that who I think, right? So it is like we are not happy because we always blame ourselves, right? It's just kind of like I am this, I am that. And then like if we really pay attention that with this ignorance of not knowing who I am, then what happens is it creates a lot of contradiction within ourselves. Because on some level, we think, I am the best. I should be the best. I am the center of the universe. I am the most important thing in the whole universe, right? That is the one very strong we have, I am. Then in the other hand, we know the things that what we are doing and what we are trying to do and not so comfortable being the person who we are, sort of we think who we are. And then just kind of like, I am bad. I am like a totally, not worthy, right? I'm not worthy enough. I'm not good enough, right? See, this is a contradiction, a huge contradiction. On one side, you are saying that I'm the best, I'm the center of the universe, I should be the center of the universe. And on the other hand, you are keep telling yourself, saying that I'm not worthy, I'm bad, I am this, I am that. And sort of like we actually pull ourselves, I am, into the totally buried into the like a ground, and then we are so embarrassed to show the real I am. And somehow we are learning many times in life trying to hide, right? Why are we trying to hide who I am, that who I think who I am? Because we are not confident. We are not confident that, this I am is very wild. This is insane, that I have some sort of like a very insane I amness in me, that I really have to cover it. I really have to hide it. I really have to put it behind the mask of who I am. And then we go on showing into the world. It is just kind of like we put the mask. Right? There's a mask. There's like some kind of like what do you call, in another words, pretension. Right? Pretend. Just like we pretend, like in just kind of like, okay, I am not happy, but I have to pretend that I'm happy. Right? I'm sort of like so see, that takes a lot of energy, isn't it? Right? That takes a lot of energy. Just kind of and that's why sometimes people just go into their own bed and it's just just now I can be myself. Right? But it is because it is a lot of work that we did. We put a lot of work to just to pretend, and then living with this mask. And those are the signs that we are not 100% sure. And we are grasping something that we think who we are. So that is why on the daily basis, on our just kind of daily basis, sometimes just kind of be little mindful, even just kind of like little bit mindful on even using the word or making any statement. Like if we change a little bit the how we are making statement about who I am, and sort of like I am, like instead of disrespecting this I am, because if something happens out there, like because it is your mistake, and then like I am really bad, right? That's a statement we say. And who is saying that? We are saying it. So when we make this statement, so that kind of like we are actually putting ourselves so down. So it is like I am really bad, and I'm sort of like and that kind of core belief is very easy to come, because most of the people in the world have this like a very low self-esteem, very low confident that I am not good enough. And on top of that, there are so many different organized religions and philosophies and all these things, right? They come on top of that and then teach you that you are actually not good enough. Right? You are not good enough. Because why? You are bad. So then it just contradicts with ourselves, just kind of thinking, I think I'm bad, and there are people saying that I'm bad. And now they are saying I'm bad, I'm thinking I'm bad, then I must be bad. Right? And what happened? Our self-confidence level goes down. When our self-confidence level go down, that I cannot do anything. What happened? What happened after that? What happened after that is we are looking for someone to save us. See, that is the trick. In the many religion, actually, they tell you that you are not good enough. You are actually, because you cannot do anything. Someone has to do it. And who is that someone? Up in the sky. Right? And what does he have? He has a form? I don't know. And then we create so many different ideas, right? We create like maybe some old man with a white beard, with the long white cloth, right? And ready to say, hey, come, I'm going to save you. That is our expectation. We hope. Because our confidence level is not good. Our wisdom level is so low. And at the same time, you have full of fear. Because when you think that I'm not good enough, what will happen is I must be not really good. And then on same thing in our day-to-day life, we face so many challenges. Right? We face so many challenges, and people will look down at you, and we believe it. We will believe it. And people say, oh, you're bad, so it is almost like from my deep inside, because of lack of wisdom, I think I'm bad. And then there are people, they're also telling me I'm bad. And then there are all the strangers that also treating me like I'm bad. See, now, where are we? where it takes us? It takes us into very dark, cold space. That I am not good. My life is not good. I'm not good enough. What do you think? Very depressing. Right? It is like when you go into that zone, the more and more you go into that zone, the more and more you believe in that way, then you are actually going down into the rabbit hole of very dark, cold space. And sometimes people go to their deepest level of dark. And there they become so valueless. They don't see any value in their life. They don't see any hope in their life. So that is, I don't know. I don't believe in the hell, like hot hell, cold hell. But I think that is the hell. Right? Sometimes we don't have to die to go to hell. We can go to hell even this very lifetime, where it is very dark, very cold, or very hot, very, just whatever it is. See, this is because of lack of wisdom, because of no confidence, because you are not definite sure, because you don't have the wisdom, because you don't know who you are, because you actually trying to understand who you are from the other people perspective. Right? Other people perspective only, we just kind of like, if there's a majority of people say that you are good, and then we are like, okay, I must be good. Right? I must be good. There are a lot of people around me, And that's like, sometimes in people who likes you, like when we are surrounded by the people who likes us, and they all kind of like say that, oh, you're good, you're really good. And then we starting to believe that, oh, maybe I'm good. Then another moment there is a people who don't like you, comes and say, you know what, you're not good. And then we again fall, right? It's just kind of like we become like the feather in the wind. Some wind come from this way, and the feather will fly to that, right? If then comes from this way, then the feather will go. So it is very, what do you call? No standing ground, right? Standing, you don't have a ground. You are not standing. You become, and that is what ego is. Ego is a balloon, right? It is just looks big, but it is filled with the air. And it doesn't stay in one place. Why? Because it just goes with the wind. So you're gone with the wind. I remember the title of that movie, very old movie. Maybe there has some meaning to it, gone with the wind. So, but our existence, when we don't have a wisdom, what happens is there is no kind of like what do you call, weight on us. And then, of course, that balloon, ego, when it is blown to all different direction, then sometime there will be a throne. You just, kind of like touch that throne, and that ego will burst. Then what happened? We have to make again, try too hard to make another ego, right? To make another identity. And then again it will go flow around. So this is why it is that, is because the lack of the wisdom. So lack of the wisdom. So that is why somehow we need to know who I am. I will say that is the wisdom. And that is, I'm not talking it from a religious point of view actually. Just kind of general point of view. General. Right? And that is why people just keep going around and searching for who I am. Like this kind of like why people are going into past life regression, trying to understand, right? People go to psychic to see who they are. And then some people will say, hey, you know what? I see your past life. And then they say, maybe your past life is this. And then just kind of like our ego gets a little bit kind of excited. Or really, who I was, like, then many times it happens that you are the queen of Egypt. I had a very interesting incident. One time we were doing a big, show, sort of like, I was with a group of Tibetan, like 10 Tibetan monks. We were doing like this sacred dance show. So the auditorium was very huge, and there are so many people. And somehow I was the group leader. And then like there was a question and answer session. And then we just kind of, after there's a break in the show, So then during the break, there were some people coming to the backstage that they want to talk. And there was one lady actually came, and she looks very serious. And then from how she was dressed, I was kind of a little bit, she dressed a little bit in a funny sort of thing, like ancient people. So her hairstyle is like totally like, what is that queen called? Cleopatra, right? So she her hairstyle was like a Cleopatra, and then dressed a little bit like a kind of costume. And she came to me and like very slowly kind of like coming like, kind of walking like, kind of trying to be elegant, I think. And then she came to me and she's like, bowing, and then she's like, do you see past life? She said. Because, because when they kind of advertise, they always advertise me as a Rinpoche, reincarnated Lama. So because of this, the word reincarnation. So then, I said, past life, I don't know. I don't know my past life, I said, I don't remember. And then she's like, I went to some psychic. They said that my past life was Cleopatra. What do you think? And I was like, actually I don't know, right? I don't know what is her past life. I cannot say you are not. Maybe she is. Maybe she's not. But who am I there to make a decision, right? So it is not I'm not authorized. Because I'm not authorized to say whether her past life is Cleopatra or not Cleopatra. So then I just give an honest answer. I looked into her eyes and I said, do you really think that your past life was Cleopatra? I just asked that question. That's because she is authorized to say what she is, right? So I said, do you really think? And then she paused for a while. And then she said, yes. If you really think you are Cleopatra in past life, then you must be. That's my answer. But, I didn't say you are Cleopatra or you are not Cleopatra. I didn't say anything. But I said, if, there's a big if. If you really think you're 100% sure, that's what I mean. If you're 100% sure that your past life was Cleopatra, then you must be Cleopatra, I said. And I said, she said, thank you. So I don't know how she took it. Maybe she took it that Rinpoche said, I'm Cleopatra. Maybe, on her credential, that she met with psychic and said that then she will go to another maybe person later saying that, this so-and-so psychic said that I'm Cleopatra. And Rinpoche also said that I'm Cleopatra. Now, what do you think? Maybe she will ask, collect another credential. But that's just kind of interesting, right? That's why people want to know what their past life is. And then maybe their past life is that. Then this is a different time and different, who will just go on dressing up like a Cleopatra. Cleopatra was Cleopatra. But then if she takes a next life, then you don't have to do exactly how she does. Maybe we have to do something different. But anyway, where is this coming from? Why this is important? Maybe we don't go there. But deep inside, there must be some desire for all of us to know where I come from. Where I come from, which, like, maybe it will be wonderful to know where I come from, maybe my past life. And then maybe I will understand myself a little bit better. And why I'm having all this different feeling. Maybe because of that past life. That's the feeling that we have, right? We think. But I think this is something to notice. I'm not against it. I'm not saying this is bad or anything. It is something to notice that, okay, this is how I am actually feeling and why I'm feeling this. And why everybody is feeling that? Because they are desperate to know who I am. Because searching, there's a, searching part. So this level of understanding who I am, then we have this chapter 9, and in this chapter 9, I don't know, maybe originally we are thinking about going into completing it, but as the nature of this chapter is so deep, maybe it will take lifetime journey to actually go into it. But here what I am just kind of trying to give the essence, right? Just kind of summary of this chapter. So summary of this chapter, if you look into it like more, if you can read this text, then at the beginning they are trying to clear the conception of wrong self, right? The clearing, like this, you if you think this is self, then this is not really self. So there is a lot of analyzing, saying that if you think this is self, this is not self, this is not self. So that is why just kind of trying to help us to go understand beyond and beyond and beyond. So that is why there is actually one interesting I think this Master Shantideva, who wrote this wisdom chapter, was a great, admirer of Nagarjuna. And also many of his wisdom is actually coming from this Indian master Nagarjuna. So Nagarjuna actually was a first century master. Okay, so it is if you look from a historical point of view, then Nagarjuna, this great Indian master who was who came into this world around first century. And then Master Shantideva is 8th century. So if you look at the timing, then Master, Nagarjuna is way 800 before. 800 before the master. But there was a very clear and precise writing on wisdom from the Nagarjuna point of view. So when Shantideva was studying the Nagarjuna, then somehow he was very drawn to this his understanding of the wisdom part. And that is why I think if you look into the 9th chapter, it is mostly trying to make more clear of what Nagarjuna has said a long time ago. So there is the Nagarjuna actually wrote this, his text, the classic text is called the root of wisdom, Tsawa Shirap. So Tsawa means root, Shirap means wisdom. So it is his text, it is almost like a root text that most of the Mahayana tradition follow. And so most of the commentaries are based on his kind of way of wisdom. And somehow Master Nagarjuna is also a very mysterious master. So there's sometimes we have many different stories about Nagarjuna, like the Padmasambhava. Nagarjuna also doesn't have one specific life or biography. Some people say he's so mysterious guy that some history in some book actually he says that he lives 600 years. But that's a little bit difficult to believe, right? Someone who can live for 600 years, in the ancient time. But that is, again, we don't know. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. But that's how mysterious things create around Nagarjuna. And then also Nagarjuna have interesting stories that why he's called the Nagarjun. Even in these days when we do the painting of the Nagarjuna, the portrait of the Nagarjuna, he is he has many snakes on top of his head, so it's all the snakes are trying to protect him like that. And why it is that is because somehow another mysterious mythical story is that he went into the land of Naga. He went down. So this a kind of mythical story in the Buddhism is that we have a kind of a Sao, Sala, and then higher. So Sao means underground. So there's another underground dimension, which is the Lu, that's called the Naga, land of the Naga. So I don't know, maybe even in the Western, you have that kind of a mermaid, right? They call it like the mermaids are living under the water, under the ground, and there's some kind of creature like that. So this Naga is another dimension that somehow we believe that Nagarjuna went into the land of the Naga. And then after Buddha passed away, Nagarjuna was 1st century. So when Nagarjuna first came into this world, it has been more than 400 years after Buddha passed away. So somehow we believe that many of the Buddha's teachings were not exist, especially the Mahayana, teachings or the texts were not exist in this world, and somehow it went down into the Luyu, the Nagaland, So somehow Nagarjuna went there, and he brought it from the underground, and then make it available. So sometime in the Buddhist history, we consider Nagarjuna as the Sangye Niba, the second Buddha. So there we like how we addressed, second Buddha, because he brought up, and he becomes so popular during that time that he was a very like a miracle, full of miracle power master, that like during that time, like all over India, I think he was like very like famous. And everybody consider him like the great, master, like that. So anyway, like that's why there is no, like people are like we see a text made by Nagarjuna, but then like there are many historians who are actually trying to find, from the literature that he wrote, and he not only wrote on the Mahayana, this wisdom, but also there are many Tantra Yana. There are many kind of like a Vajrayana, like highest Yoga Tantra's teachings are also made by. So then people like who actually do the research, what they do is looking at how this text was written. Then I think there's a specific way of writing in the Sanskrit. I'm not so familiar with the Sanskrit, but the people who know the Sanskrit, there is a specific something, and there's a writing style. And so they are considering, okay, these other texts that wrote on the Tantra also wrote by Nagarjuna. They are same. But sometimes it is very interesting, this text that he wrote in the 1st century, and then other texts, sometimes when you trace it, it is like happened after 500 years. But the writing style is exactly same. So sometimes people say, okay, we don't know how to believe he lived for 600 years, but the person who wrote in the 1st century, and then there is a book that appears that written in the 5th century, but their writing style is exactly same like one person has written it. So we don't know. That kind of, mysterious, very mysterious. And then things like going into the Naga, land of Naga, it's like if you look at from the conventional, mainstream point of view, those are a little bit difficult to actually, hold. But anyway, mysterious. Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is that there is like in the root text, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama also many times he quote this, right? And I think last time when I was doing this series of talks on building inner strength, and then made it into this book, and somehow I also quote this Nagarjuna's word into this this book. So it's because the quote is very much like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, when he described the wisdom, and especially understanding who you are, he always quote this. But this one, it's in Tibetan translation. So there is a 5-point of understanding who you are. So these points are interesting because the Nagarjuna actually said, Phungmi phungbo le shin min, right? Tela phungme te ter me. Tishin Sheba Kangshi Yin. Tishin Sheba Pungde Min Tishin Sheba Kangshi Yin. So this is, if you look at the translation in English, it is said like this. So it is a little bit difficult to understand. First of all, what it says, we are, right? Like the it is or whatever it is. Like the word exactly, if we translate, then it is sound like this. Not the aggregates. Okay, not the aggregates. So first of all, then we have to understand what is aggregate means, right? Pungpo, that's not other than the aggregates. The aggregates are not in him. He is not in them. And he, Buddha, does not possess the aggregates. What is Buddha? So this is the, this is the Pungpo lesson mean. So this is a very kind of like Nagarjuna directly what is saying is, like Buddha, like we say Buddha. Buddha is a person, right? So it's a person. So this person we call Buddha is the Buddha, Pungmin. Is he his body? That's the question. And then he's saying, Buddha is not his body or his aggregates. So aggregate meaning there are 5 aggregate. From the Buddhist point of view, we call it aggregates. So what are the 5 aggregates is mainly sort of like 5 different, what do you call, part or aspects, 5 different aspects or of us. So we categorize it into 5. And how do we categorize that into 5? So there is 5 aggregates. So aggregates of form, like a physical, physical aggregates. And then like the, second aggregate is called the Chorwe Pungpo. Chorwa means feeling. So aggregates of feelings. And then Doshegi Pungpo means sort of like aggregates of conception. Aggregates of conceptions. And then Duchegi Pungpo means, sort of like what do you call? Duche is like, there are like so many different level of understanding. So maybe more sort of like a karmic force or energy aspect. Or sometime, we kind of like also, we use this word like a characteristic, right? We use many different words like a mental formations, and so it is kind of like a duje means so basically function. Duje means action, okay, action. So like the act or function or something, So there's and this is the 4th aggregate. And then the 5th aggregate is called the aggregates of consciousness. Okay, aggregates of consciousness. So basically, when we as a person, we kind of we have a 5 main aspect. 5 main kind of 5 main aspect. What is the 5 main aspect there? It doesn't mean that there's no 5, more than 5. But I think it is, if we just categorize it, right? We categorize it into 5 different aspects. So there is a reality, reality of ourselves. So the first and foremost, the reality is like our physical reality, right? We have a physical reality. So this physical reality is a physical aspect of ourselves. So physical body, right? So I have this, my body, and I have this color, I have shape, So this kind of like a physical reality. And then there is another aspect of me that is kind of like based on feeling. Because normally sort of like I feel this way, I feel love, I feel joy, I feel sad, I feel angry. There's like all this different emotion aspect, right? So this is another category of ourself. So this is a 2nd aggregate. The 3rd one is the ideas. there are thoughts, right? The thoughts, notion, and thinking, so many different ideas. So that is the conception, the aggregate of conception. And then there are so many, the fourth aggregate is many times we identify with our function. For example, we have an aspect of what do we do, right? For example, if someone is working as in the law firm or as a lawyer, if their work is to do the law thing, then what we call them, and they also call themselves I'm lawyer, right? If you are in the healing, like a physician, that medical field, then based on what they do, they have an identity of themselves as a doctor, right? I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, right? Based on the action, based on action that they are driving the car, I'm a driver, right? So because of this, there is a big aspect of from what we do, from the action point of view. So that is why it is called that is all categorized into the fourth aggregates. And then there is beyond all this, there is someone acting like a boss within us, that is consciousness, which is the main, things that is actually moving us around. So there is a consciousness, So these are the five aggregates. So now it is saying that Buddha is not his body, Buddha is not his feeling, Buddha is not his conception, or the third, the dusha, not the conception. Maybe I will say what he thinks, and Buddha is not what he does, and Buddha is not the consciousness, right? So now it is a five aggregates. So Buddha is not aggregate. That's what it means, not the aggregates, and then. Pungbu Leshe means, so then if Buddha is not his aggregates, then is he other than, does he exist other than Pungbu, other than aggregates? Then again it is saying no, he is not other than aggregates, okay? So then Buddha, that we have this idea, then he has those aggregates, and then again Nagarjuna said he doesn't have that. And then these aggregates are in him. So how do you put? For example, I think sometimes it is interesting to put an example. For example, sometimes we put the example of teapot. Sometimes we put the example of, in the ancient time, they put the example of the shingta. What do you call the horse? Shingta is they use a car. Cart, horse cart, right? So maybe in this modern time, actually, we can use as our car example. So we say car. So car is, it has many parts, right? This car is what do you think? They are the parts. Car is not the parts. But the parts are car? No, parts are also not car, right? Then car is inside the parts or no? All the parts of the car are inside the car? So just put vice versa. Oh, the car is inside the part? That we can actually clearly see that it is not inside the part. Then all the parts are inside the car or no? What do you think? Again, no, right? All the parts are not inside the car. So these are the four 4 points how you understand how do you make. If you make it from the example, it is much easier because that is because we know the car, we see the car we feel the car with our hand, right? So it is if you first analyze that with the car, then we can actually understand. Then the parts and the car, right? The parts and the car. So are they kind of belong to each other? That part we will say, okay, wait a minute, right? It's these parts of the car are parts of car. It belongs, right? For example, I say, this my hand. So this my hand belongs to me, right? This hand belongs to me. Then it is my cup, right? So this cup is my. Is it same? Like when I say, this is my hand, this is my cup. Right? My hand is connected to me. Cup is not connected to me, but still, I can still possess it, right? I possess my hand, I possess the cup. But then it possesses in a different way, right? It possesses in a very different way. So, same thing, the question actually goes on, the parts of the car actually, possessed, right? It is possessed. Like, for example, I possess my hand. But I possess my hand exactly by, it is part of me, not as the cup, right? Not as a cup. Because how I possess this cup is, it doesn't have to connect it to me. It is not. It is, if something happened to this cup, I will not feel pain, right? Maybe mentally. But not a direct pain. And it was interesting one time. His Holiness the Dalai Lama was making this interesting metaphor also. He made this metaphor. He was teaching in America. I remember I was there. And then he said, I will give you an example, he said. And you are so attached to this beautiful watch, he said. And you go to the store. And there's this you are so, always a dream. It is your dream to have this Rolex watch on you. And then, you have enough saving to buy that, and you are so excited, and then you go. And so then, in the process of your buying that, but you're not bought it, then the shopkeepers, they are handling it, and it breaks. Okay? It breaks. And you are like, okay. Right? Okay. Because you haven't bought it yet. And then he said, now let us look into another incident. You go in there, you paid it, and now it is yours. And you're walking out of the store and you broke it. What do you think, he said? What is the attachment level? Because you didn't care. You think that it's not yours, right? You think that it belongs to the store. So it is not I don't care. Loss is theirs. But when you pay it and when it is yours, now what happened is you sealed it with your ego, saying that now it is mine and it belongs to me. It's become part of you. And then you broke it and you will be, what do you call? Traumatized. Right? You will be, what happened, See, that's very interesting. Look at that incident. How much the watch that broke is same. But because of how we actually project, just before you project that is mine, it is okay. But after you project that is mine, it is different. Right? It just changed. It is because of your conception, because of your perspective. So that is just I remember that. So anyway, belong, right? It belongs, my hand belongs to me, and this cup belongs to me. It's two different actually, right? In a way, it's just, if you look at the realistically, it is different. Like if something happened to my hand is more serious than something happened to this cup, right? It's just kind of like if this cup breaks, then it is bad. Maybe if I have an attachment to it, it's bad, but it is more bad if I break my hand, right? I will feel more pain. I will feel more. So there's a two level of my, like a belongingness. How I grasp, how I take it. So that is what actually Nagarjuna is trying to say, is that, so there is another group of philosophy. Actually, they say that, the person has the five aggregates, but the person has the five aggregates, but they have the aggregates like aggregates belong to the person, like the like the cow belong to the person. Okay, so that's separate entity. So there is the owner is separate. So owner exists separate from the aggregates, like the how cow exists separate from you, but still cow is there, and you can you say, this cow is my cow, this horse is my horse, right? So like so that kind of like a self, like how they actually say it. So yes, there is a Buddha, but the five aggregates of the Buddha, five aggregates belong to Buddha, like we own the cow. Okay, so belongs like. So this is the fifth point. So anyway, this is a kind of like an interesting way to look, and that's what His Holiness the Dalai Lama said. His word here, and the Nagarjuna original word, he said, Tijin Sheba Kanshi, Tijin Sheba Pungden Min, the enlightened, right? The Buddha does not possess the aggregate, right? Buddha does not possess the aggregate in that way. That's what he's saying. Buddha doesn't possess the aggregate like you possess the cow, you possess the table, you possess the house, you possess the car. Not like that. So that is what. So now we are kind of analyzing the Buddha. What is Buddha, right? So, His Holiness the Dalai Lama changed the word into saying that, I am not the aggregates, and I'm not other than the aggregates. The aggregates are not in me. I am not in them. So I do not possess the aggregate. Then who am I? What am I? So this, and so His Holiness actually uses this wisdom, which is actually, it's a 4-line, but it's easy to kind of like, write it, or you can just, analyze it. And think of, just when you're analyzing it, think of the car, like how I give you the example. The car is not the part, right? The parts of the, why car is not the parts of the car? That's very clear, right? Car is not the wheel, car is not the, window, car is not the part. That's very clear. And again, the parts are not car. What do you think? That's again very true. Right, the parts of the car are not car, right? And then, all the parts are not in car, right? Or the car is not in, right? It's like not in the parts, right? Car exists in the parts. I don't think so, right? The parts are not also in the car. Then there's like a Namdungi Rigba. The Chandrakir, they add few more point. One, the 5-1, that is the, the what Nagarjuna has 5 point. And then on top of that, Chandrakir, they put 2 more point. Like a Tsokpa means a unit. Unit is not, like the whole unit of the car, all the part, the units of all the parts of the car. That's a little bit difficult, right? all the parts, the car parts. So this unit, there's a unit of putting all the parts together is a car. Right? We think that is car, right? Because car is all the parts put together and make it into car. But so that is kind of like a Chandrakirti actually put 2 more points there. So because unit, the collection of the unit, right? The collection of all the parts is the car, somebody said. But now actually Chandrakirti actually reject that. And then yip means shape. Yip damayam. Yip means the shape of the car. What do you think? These 2 points need a little bit kind of like a little bit what do you call clarification, because that is the people coming. So for example, the collection or the embodiment or kind of together of all the parts is car, right? And then the shape of the car is the car, but that's easy to understand. Shape of the car is not car, right? Shape of the car is not car. But this putting all things together, this one unit, is the car. But that actually, Chandrakirti, how he actually reject that. He actually said that if you bring all the pieces of the car together and put it into one pile, do you think that is the car? Right? See, he knows the point, right? Because it is a unit. Because it is all the pieces of the car is already there, like you put it in one pile. But it is the unit of all the parts of the car. But still, it's not car. See, then if you say if all the parts together, putting it into one unit is the car, then you have to say that, when all the parts together in a pieces, and put it there, and still there is a unit, that's still not car. So that is why it doesn't make it as a car. So there's a 7 point. So these 7 points also is just a metaphor, it's an example. You apply it on yourself. This Namdu Rigpa is a very, very sharp way to analyze it. So this is in your meditation, you actually kind of go with because the root cause of suffering, which is the ignorance, which is the jikta. Jikta means this ignorance, like a misconception of self. So the misconception of self in the Buddha, actually he actually divided that into jigzo or jigzo nishu, which means kind of like there are 20 misconception of self, which is a very dangerous, So he actually categorized into 20. So the 20 is very easy to make actually, because sukda mayin dani sukde me sula dame dala suyu means sort of like this is the 4th point, 4 point, which means form is not self, self is not form too, right? And then sula dame, so form is not inside the self, self is not inside the form. So there's a 4, right? So you actually, for the form, there are 4, right? So 4, and then for the, feeling also 4, then for the, perception, conception 4, the conception is not I is not conception, so the opposite of that, okay? And then the 4, the mental formation also have a 4, and then consciousness has a 4. So if you kind of do the math, then 4 into 5 aggregates is 20. That is how we divide, 20 misconception of self. That so basically Nagarjuna actually put it into 5. Generally in the sutra it is 4. So Nagarjuna put 5 points, and then Chandrakirti actually make it more by putting a 7 point. So this Namdu Rigpa is a very powerful just kind of like if you are in this process of generating your wisdom, use this as a something to analyze, do the analytical meditation. And then the more you do the analytical meditation of I am not my body, I'm not my feeling, they are not sort of like, so somehow it will actually make you understand who I am. And that is the complete wisdom. All right. So I think we are running out of time here, so we will stop here. And so this trip, our with wisdom teaching, I will just conclude here. And then maybe next time, if we get more time, actually this wisdom, like we don't have enough time, but if you have a time, actually, it is good to go word by word, kind of like because there are so many power in that, understanding in it. But because we are all sort of like not having enough time, and like the situation is a little bit difficult to put the time also. But I think whatever this time we did, that's enough, I guess. All right, so Kangshuba Deda Tamje Chalen La Peba Chine Jan Kadin Kyongwar Shu, Dagi, Jinyen Saben Gewande, Tendan Droa, Kunla Kampenda, Kebran Jizun, Lopsan Trapai, Dembe Ningbo Rindo Seje Shu.
Okay, and since it's the last day, we'll do the long Thanksgiving mandala offering. So, towards the back page, on page 32, there should be the Thanksgiving long mandala offering. Page is horizontal.
All right.
Somewhere near the back.
Omo Bendarege Ahun Shin Sege Saji Omo Bendarege Chijare Koyoge Kwebe Usori Gyabo Lebabo Lo Zambole No Balanje Jaja Lebabo Yunde da lam jodo rame nyen da rame nyege da rinpoche re wo bazam ge shin de je ba mame ba ye lo do ko lo rinpoche no bo rinpoche tumo bo rinpoche lam bo rinpoche Nabe rinpoche de je ba ye pomba ge ma tenwa Karama medoma dubema nazema tijama nyema dawa rinpoche du chule nambara nyeve nye Uzo la dami ye benjo buzo zoba mazan wa meba sanjin yedo hongwa te da tinjen zawa dan yubra Wande lama tamba namda Give Jinye Jembo Shingane Deba Jembe Sunju Samo Juve Taragi Yundo Shingan Biwaran Kiwon Tuje Juve Tendo Shesu Seshe Manju Namge Tada Nyambe Simje Tamje Lang Tu Sewa Chimbu Gone Chinye Lang Du Su
The second to last page, the Lamrim dedication prayer. Final Lamrim dedication.
Lam san ru ben tu jen duen che jen gai jen se jen mi dai mi guen se rai guen duen ya ve ngai bai Naim daim te warai mai yurunji kain zi te bai choi lai ju 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 Cui xin zhu lai zun bai ti ye zi Tui de nam jie tai dun chun jie jie Zhai xin ya zi Choi gui kiam yu ru ji
Next page, starting from the second verse.
Yedem badan jewan ten da lai min jen yen be yen kan yan zhu wai ma de ba xie nie dang ba zhen bian ju ru mo ra ve ko ve xin gang de pen dang de wa ma lu zhong wei ne jie re se wa dian zhen ya zu yi xia bei si de pa du dian yu ji zi san su tang bei zi gu yi yun zhu dian la dun bei bei yun zu Long re sa me pe gun zhong ba la Da me ten be pe du shab de shu Pa ma sem che tam che de dang den yu ru ji Nian zhu tam che ta du tong wa tang Chan zhu sen pa ka na su shu pa Te ta gun ge mo la man zhu yu ron ji Chan zhu sem zhu rin po xie Ma ge ba na ma ge yu ru ji Ge ba nyang ba me ba yang Kong ne kong du